Hey guys, and welcome to the first big board show of the year. We're going to be delving into the best ball scene before the NFL draft. We just had the combine. We're going to take a look at some of these rookie players and get an idea of who might be situated the best to do well in the draft this year, and who might have the biggest impact on fantasy and our best ball drafts. And I'm getting into it right after this. Hey, what's up, guys? Simon Edwards at Pumacom here with Heat Seeker Sports, and you're watching the Best Ball Show. Going to be delving into Underdog's big board draft. In this one, going to be doing a draft together with Spread today. And Spread Astaire, as you know, he's joined me a lot on the showdown shows, a lot on these best ball shows in the past seasons, and he's back to help me break down the rookie situation and to join in on a draft. And Spread, what's going on, man? How's everything going?
Oh, man, I'm excited to be here today. I told you before we started, I'm in the process of moving right now. So it's nice for me to take a break from studying all the new information I need and packing my stuff up to just talk some fantasy football and the best ball big board. I think it's a lot of fun. And it's a time box contest. It'll close before the official NFL draft. And, it's kind of more on your evaluation of the players rather than landing spots. So I'm pretty excited about it. And, of course, we will be targeting rookies. The winner of the best board last year had 10 rookies on his squad.
Yeah, and I think that this season is going to be interesting. We do have a lot of more towards the running backs and wide receivers than we do quarterbacks. Last year, we had a lot of rookie quarterbacks that were pretty exciting. This year, not so much. I think there's like Cam Ward is really the only one that would be in play, Spread, or do you think that Sanders or is there any other rookie quarterbacks that stand out to you?
So as far as for sure, I think Shedeur Sanders has to be in there. And of course, we're hearing a little more about Tyler Slew, Jackson Dart, and players like that. But the only two that I think that you'll get significant starts out of for the whole year to really make them be worth investing in this format are Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. As exciting as those couple other guys are as prospects, I can't imagine a situation where they're landing to become starters. So I think it would take an injury for anyone else besides the top two guys to get in the lineup.
Do you think with the quarterback situation with Tennessee obviously needing a quarterback and having that first overall pick, do you think it makes more sense for them to trade down and try to hit on a quarterback next year, or do you think that it's worth it to spend a first overall pick on a quarterback this year?
And that really comes down to eventually what Tennessee's evaluation of these top quarterbacks is. And so some of the movement that we've seen, it felt like, the second the season ended, right? If you were to look at these things, if you logged on the second after the Super Bowl ended, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders were kind of neck and neck. And you could even made an argument, hey, there's a chance Sanders could go number one. Now as the draft process is playing out and, obviously the reporters are spending more time pumping these GMs for information, it feels like there's a significant gap now. Between Ward and Sanders. It seems almost for sure that Ward will be the first quarterback off the board. But another consensus is that Ward would have been fourth in last year's draft. So do you want to spend the number one overall pick for a quarterback that probably would have went 10th to 12th last year? And then I think another thing that, maybe makes it more likely that Ward's not the number one pick is we know the NFL is a copycat league. And I think that regardless of the results, most of us would say that Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. And it felt like the better quarterback has won so many of these playoff games and so many of these Super Bowls over the last 5 years. But it's a copycat league. And what did Philadelphia do? And it's almost like what the Giants did when they beat Brady with an inferior quarterback. They had such an awesome front four. They didn't need to blitz, and they still got a ton of pressure. In that case, right, how much more valuable is Abdul Carter? a defensive lineman who really, I mean, to me, other than injury, it seems like almost like a can't miss. The tape is there, the measurables are there, great attitude. So will Tennessee say, hey, why pick a guy that really should be a 10th overall pick at number 1 when we could get a true number 1 overall talent here and wait till next year? The draft for the quarterbacks is better next year. And as the Eagles showed, that defensive line, I mean, you want to have 6, 7 top guys there. Maybe you go for the safe investment there. So
yeah.
I'm pretty excited to see how it all turns out. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if I were to bet right now, I would say it's 50-50. Say 50% Cam Ward or 50% Abdul Carter. And I would be kind of surprised if the Titans traded the pick. And the reason I say that is because they were supposedly asking for Caleb Williams level haul, which is 2 first rounders. Well, it'd be this year's first rounder, another first rounder, a second rounder, and a quality player. And I just don't know if other GMs are going to value Cam Ward so much. Because the only team that I think that would make like a kind of short-term decision like that would be the Giants.
Right.
They're 3. Right. Any team, right? Like for example, I've got the little Raiders background, right? They got a new front office, a new general manager. The last thing he's going to want to do is trade off some of these number 1 overall picks. He knows he's not getting fired. Raiders can go 3-14 this year. He's not going to get fired. Whereas, Dable and Joe Shiner and Schoen, whatever you say his name, are in the hot seat. So they seem to be the only ones that could potentially overreact here. So right. I think this draft is going to be a lot of fun. And I really have no idea which way the Titans go. And of course, that's the domino that's going to affect everything else in the draft.
I think the Titans are going to trade it, and I think it's going to be either to one of the other New York teams, most likely.
So I would think New York would be more likely to spend to get up.
Yeah,
because if I'm the Giants, I most likely can get Sanders at 3, unless I just have firm intel that Cleveland's going to take Sanders at 2, which in my mind I don't think they will. I think Deion's probably already sent them a message like, guys, we'll pull an Eli. We're not going to that. We're not going there.
Right.
Because there's no chance in winning the first year. I mean, as long as that Watson contract's on the books, Cleveland's done. They made one of the most colossal mistakes in the history of NFL, and now they're going to have to deal with it for the next couple of years. And just the way that Sanders, his dad, is, and how he understands the league.
Right.
Yeah, so that's why I would think if you're right and the Titans do trade back, I would think the Jets would be the most likely candidate.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I saw a mock draft that had the Jets drafting Ashton Genty as their pick. Like,
which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
that's
I know.
One of the worst mock drafts I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was one of the NFL guys. And NFL Network guys, and it didn't make any sense to me. I was like, why would they do? They got Breece Hall. You're drafting
Braylon Allen's better than half the starters in the league.
Right.
Yeah. Like, no way. I mean, that would just be stupid.
Yeah. And I was shocked to see that. But that kind of like, kind of paints a picture of what this draft, this draft seems to be like this year, with not really, like, you got a couple athletic guys in Genty and Travis Hunter, who we don't even know if he's going to be a wide receiver or a cornerback. Do you have any thoughts on him, like on where he might land and what position he might actually fall into?
Okay, so the word right now is that most teams are going to draft Hunter and play him as a corner full time and mix him in as a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to want to play both. But to me, that makes sense. And the idea being, I understand, if you're in man coverage, okay, it's not really a lot to learn. But learning the defense is going to be a lot more intricate than just saying, hey, this is your route. Mm-hmm. We install these packages for you, memorize these routes. And I think if they went the other way, there would be the potential of them basically advertising to the opponent, hey, we're in man coverage, right? Because we're not going to put Hunter in here for some intricate zone scheme, right? I mean, I guess if it's a basic cover 2, you can call that and he understands it. But to me, it makes more sense that he'll be a corner and get some limited work. Now, Meg and Steve think he does have more upside as a wide receiver than most.
Yeah.
So, I'm not ready to count it out. But right now, I have not been targeting Hunter in these big board drafts with the idea that I think he's going to play limited snaps. I think he can play 75 to 95% of his snaps at corner. And I'm thinking he's going to be like 25% most at wide receiver, which depending on which team he goes to in their injury situation, right? Like maybe he's a guy that changes it for the finals, right? Because those last 3 weeks, who knows what happens. But right now I'm kind of staying away, and I think that he's going to be a corner primarily.
Yeah, and I think his draft position right now, he's going too early, I think, to take that kind of a gamble on it right now. It's really going to depend on where he ends up in the draft and where their greatest need is. But like from a player perspective, it seems like I mean, he's got to want to be a wide receiver more than a cornerback as far as his potential career earnings and everything like that.
But here's the thing: if he could come in and be a top corner, and he can always switch later. Even if corners don't play as long as receivers, he's going to have the skill set to switch when he gets 29 or 30.
Yeah.
So I don't think it impacts his career earnings as much as some people would think.
Gotcha. Well, before we get into some more of these rookies, guys, make sure to hit the like button. I'm looking for about 30 likes. I'm going to put out a series of videos once we get closer to the NFL draft. I'm going to put out some shorts on some of these rookie analysis and some analysis on the players that have the best value according to the big board so far heading into the draft. And also make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm at about 1,600 right now. Let's help. If you guys can help me get to 1,700, that'd be great. And you're going to want to subscribe to or sign up for an Underdog account as well using the promo code SEEK, SEEK. They're going to give you a 50% deposit match up to $1,000. So if you deposit $2,000, they'll give you like $1,000 in bonus cash. So just a heads up on that. That's a good deal to take advantage of, especially if you plan on doing a lot of drafts this season. Like we're in the big board right now. The big board started as soon as the Super Bowl was over. I think it started even before that, right? Spread has been around for, I
think it went up the week before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so we've had the big board up for a little while now, and we're getting to the situation where we're going to have Best Ball Mania coming up. And you guys are going to want to be a part of that. So make sure you're making your deposits and take advantage of that. The bonus, the bonus that they're giving us. So Spread. Before we get into a draft, are there any rookies that stand out the most to you that are positioned the best to have fantasy upside this season?
Yeah. I did it last year, and I'm going to do it again, Simon. I like a rookie tight end.
All right.
Tyler Warren out of Penn State. To me, he's got all the same upside that Brock Bowers did last year. And we saw a lot of those top tight ends bust last year. I was going high on sometimes some 2 tight end builds because I just couldn't pass Bowers, but I wanted to get McBride, and I wanted to get Laporta, and I wanted to get Andrews, and really, other than McBride, none of those guys really turned out. I think, you all got almost the same production, obviously with spiking, but you could have got some K-Dot and some Hunter Henry, David Njoku, some of these later round guys, and done just as well, especially when you look at the opportunity costs that I gave up, passing on Josh Jacobs and Joe Mixon and players in that range to end up with Sam Laporta, who was fine, but he definitely wasn't worth second or third round pick like he was going. So I think this year, the tight end that I'm really looking for is Tyler Warren. I don't think this is a hot take. I think a lot of people know this. And I think after he has an official landing spot, it's going to be even better. Another one I like is Harold Fannin, and he's out of Bowling Green. He put up unbelievable stats. Now, of course, it's not the same as doing it like Warren did against the Big Ten. But still, his stats were there. He's got the measurables, and it just seems like a guy that could really break out. So I'm targeting those 2 rookie tight ends, and that's allowing me to load up on running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks early, because Warren's not going till 6th, 7th round sometimes. So, you can really load up the rest of your starting lineup there. And to be, there's not, you can still get some quality tight ends there late. You just got to, really go 3 tight ends if you wait that long. Because, they're going to spike in and out. But Tyler Warren's a player that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, and Spread last year was pounding the table on Brock Bowers. I think he was going like the 7th, the 8th round, maybe.
Yeah, he's usually getting in between 80 and 100, depending on the draft.
Yeah, Spread was pounding the table on this show and also on FanSpeak. So, Spread, you've been doing some FanSpeak shows. You want to talk about that a little bit, like where they can find your best ball content so far?
Yeah, that's right. I'm over at fanspeak.com with Steve, Meg, Tyler, Justin, and Andrew, and we've been having a good time. I'm actually their DraftKings guy, but DraftKings doesn't have contests up yet that we want to get involved in. So we're doing the Underdog big board drafts right now. Of course, you can follow, and that's going to be FanSpeak on your YouTube subscriptions, and they run content Monday through Friday.
Nice.
So Steve used to scout in person, and he spent about 10 years scouting. So he got 4th in this big board contest last year. So he's a great resource in identifying. Like, one thing that he kept me off of last year was Xavier Legette. As he was flying up the board, he said, this guy, hey, he may end up being good, but when we're looking at rookie production, he saw a lot of Quentin Johnston. Raw athlete, but the route running wasn't there. And he really needs some time to be polished. So, just an example of how, using all these different resources can help you, especially because we're not able to do all this scouting, right, Simon? So
right. Yeah.
It's good to rely on, people who know their stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I like to do, and that's another reason why I like FanSpeak. And I believe like Meg was on the show breaking down the playoff best ball situation with me, and she mentioned something about, I believe they're having a best ball package. So you're going to want to check out FanSpeak and find out more about that best ball package. But I would definitely take advantage of their knowledge. Like Spread mentioned, Steve has a background in scouting, and then Meg on top of it is really good at drafting and analyzing players. And between the two of them and Spread, you had a pretty good advance rate last year too. I think you guys all had in the 25% or something like that. Or
yeah, pretty good. And then boy, my first round was rough.
Yeah.
I was so advancing so many teams, and I got killed on the Sunday and Monday night games. It was just heartbreaking.
Yeah. That's what happens, man. That's why it's good to get some good diversity with your teams too when you guys are drafting, just to make sure that when you have a big portion of your teams advancing, that like you can filter out even more past that first round and stuff like that. Because if it's a similar makeup of your teams, like all it takes is one bad week, and then you can end up losing like your entire like slate of teams. But Spread, I'm going to name a couple other of these rookies here, and you let me know what you think about them, and then we'll jump into a draft here. McMillan, Teteroa McMillan.
Oh, Ted McMillan, yeah.
Yeah, you have any thoughts on him? Like, I think he was going pretty early in these drafts right now.
Yeah, I can't. So we talked about Genty a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to go early for a player, I like McMillan a lot more. So from the scouting reports, McMillan's probably the only true X wide receiver in this draft. To be fair, most teams aren't looking for a number one outside of the top 10. So that works out okay. There'll be plenty of these wide receivers that we're going to talk about that are rookies that are going to be able to step in and contribute, because they are going to be playing either in the slot or next to someone who's going to command some more attention. But let's just throw Travis Hunter out. If you just assume he was going to be a corner, McMillan's obviously the clear best player or best wide receiver in this draft. And there's nothing I've seen from him to make me think that his skills will not translate. So I'm high on McMillan, and I definitely think he's someone you should target.
Nice. Omarion Hampton, running back
him.
out of North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, how could you not like him? Right now, he's listed as running back 2 in most of these drafts here. And right, Genty's such a special talent that I think it's safe. I mean, I think he definitely would have been running back 1 last year, as far as rookies go. So, we talked about Genty's draft status earlier, and another reason why I don't buy him going so early is because there's going to be so many good options available in the 2nd or 3rd round. I almost think it's going to push him down. I think the depth of this running back class is going to push him down. If it was last year's class, I think you for sure would have been a 1st round pick. I think it's going to be hard for a GM to say I'm going to use my 1st round pick on Genty, where we get defensive linemen who typically don't pan out after the first couple rounds. Offensive linemen, where yes, there's some success stories, but look at the Pro Bowl. Most of those guys were 1st round picks, right? So I think it's going to be tough when you got guys like Hampton, Travion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, right? All these guys here that are probably going to be available in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. So I'll tell you what, Simon, it's going to be hard for you to get me to say anything bad about these top 10, 11 running backs.
Yeah.
Obviously, fit matters and where they land matters. But I think when we're looking at the big board and how we're going to draft today, I think hero RB is the way to go and load up on these rookies, because some of them are really going to break out. A lot of these guys are going to come in and be the best running back on their team right off the bat. So much talent here in this running back class, arguably the deepest running back class that I remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, and that's interesting because like a rookie class this deep with running backs, I've heard nothing but buzz on the running back situation. Just like Spread said, I mean, that's going to open things up so that you can go back to either 0 RB or you can go with hero RB. And last year, if you watch this show in the preseason, we were very high on going RB heavy in the beginning of drafts. And this year, I feel like with the depth of these rookies, it's going to probably enable you to go back to like more of a like a wide receiver heavy opening. And it could be a situation where people look at the results of last year and more people are trying to draft running backs at the top of these drafts. We're already seeing it with several of the top 5 picks right now, according to ADP, are running backs. And last year, that wasn't the case. Everybody was going for, maybe Christian McCaffrey as the 1st overall, but then it was all like a bunch of, wide receivers being drafted. And you were getting value on those running backs in the 1st round and beyond. But now I think it's a situation where you can focus back on those wide receivers, especially if the field is heading more towards the running back route, and just hope that last year it was kind of a one-off where, like teams were adjusting to, the focus on the passing game for these offenses. But now they're going to be looking at, Saquon Barkley and some of these guys that had, like big seasons last year and paid off for us. But I think this year, maybe we can go back towards that, 0 RB or we were always hero RB, but, hero RB makes a lot of sense too.
And I think one thing different from this year to last year is we don't have 2 top running backs leaving in free agency to better offensive lines, right?
Right.
The Saquon and partially the Josh Jacobs is unprecedented, where you have these talented runners who have played behind. I mean, Jacobs not his whole career, but definitely his last season in Vegas. Poor offensive line. And that Giants offensive line has been bottom 5 for like the last 3 years of Saquon. So maybe a little full. And also even Derrick Henry going to Baltimore. Now, Tennessee wasn't the pits like the New York Giants were, but they weren't that good either. So you had these big name running backs going to better situations. And we don't have that this year, as far as I know. Now, there are some free agents, but no one on the level of Saquon Barkley or Josh Jacobs or Derrick Henry. I can't think of. Yeah, I don't think anyone would even reach that top 3 that's a free agent this season.
Yeah. All right, Spread. So let's get into a draft here. Just a reminder, hit that like button. Looking for about 30 likes. Going to start putting out some of those shorts on individual player analysis. Going to be able to have a lot more time to do that this season. And also make sure to subscribe to the channel. Looking for about 1,700. Check out Spread's content throughout this off season. He's going to be doing a lot of best ball content as well. I'm going to enter into a big board, and Spread and I are going to draft this one together. So we are waiting for 3 people to enter it. I'm going to call it up on my phone as well because it drives me nuts to do it on my computer. Let's see. But yeah, Spread, is there like anything else that you want to add on what's happened in this offseason? Like any coaching moves you like or anything like that?
I mean, we got a lot going on, right? Deebo Samuel got traded yesterday or 2 nights ago. I don't know if that was a shock. I'm curious to see how he fits in with Kingsbury. Personally, yeah. What do you think? Do you think it works? I'm wondering if he's like really scheme dependent.
I think it'll be interesting to see what they do with Eckler. Because if, he's coming in to take over, like kind of similar role that Eckler had, then I think that's going to be interesting. And we all know that he's like his situation with yards after the catch, one of the best yards after the catch guys in the league. Mm-hmm. I think that Deebo can make a big impact on the Commanders and probably bigger impact than he would have made on the 49ers, knowing Pearsall is on the rise, and then we're going to have, Jennings had a breakout season last year, and then on top of that, we got Ayuk coming back. I'm not sure like Ayuk might get traded. Are you hearing any rumors like that? Spread, like, what do you think the situation is going to be with that wide receiver core?
I think they'll entertain offers, but I don't think they're under as much pressure. And I know on fantasy it doesn't matter, but one thing that Ayuk has going for him that I think doesn't get factored in here, and maybe one of the reasons that they ended up dealing Deebo and not him, is he's such a good blocker. He's really a good blocker, and we know how much Shanahan likes to run the ball and how much he values that. There's a reason why he built around George Kittle, right, and not a more receiver-oriented tight end like Travis Kelce, because he really values blocking in those receiver positions. So I think they're listening to offers, but I don't think there's any pressure on the team to make a deal, right? I don't think they're like, we have to get this guy out the door,
Right.
Someone comes in offering a first, I think they'll get rid of him. I think they'll consider a second. But if it's only thirds or players that they consider a downgrade and a day 3 pick, I don't think they're going to force themselves to move it. So as of right now, like when we're doing this draft today, I'm going to consider Ayuk to be a 49er. But we got to keep in consideration, from what I was reading this morning, he's not going to be ready for training camp and will probably miss the first couple weeks.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at best ball and season long and where you're going to have to draft him, is it worth it? All right, what do we want to do here?
All right, so I'm looking at Justin Jefferson and Saquon Barkley. He's an older running back. He had a ton of touches last year. I'm almost leaning Justin Jefferson here. But
I'm fine with Jefferson too, off the idea that we can grab a bunch of those rookie running backs late, and the wide receivers really dry up after round 7.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. I feel like wide receivers dry up pretty quick in this one. Not like we were experiencing last year. I felt last year we were getting wide receivers through a lot of the middle rounds. It felt like some guys were still available, but now I think it makes a lot of sense to get an elite running wide receiver.
Well, this year I think it's so much easier to go 0 RB with the plethora of rookie running backs. It just whether or not they turn out, they do have that kind of shiny new box upside.
Yeah.
Right. So where almost like I did with Trey Benson last year, and it didn't work out for me at all. Right. But you convince yourself, right? There's all these different scenarios where they end up being a league winner, where it's harder to kind of do that with the Darnell Mooney or Michael Pittman.
Yeah. And, if you guys have watched, my best ball shows in the past where I'm trying to find these running backs that can give us that top 5 upside that we're able to get, like in the second round and beyond. One of the issues I have with Barkley this year is that, he's 28 years old. They usually have a drop off after, 27 years. And on top of that, he had just a massive amount of touches last year. Let me try and see exactly how many touches he had. But when they have like a season where they've had like 300 plus touches, like these running backs, their bodies really break down, and they're not as necessarily as explosive the next season. So as much as I like Barkley, and I will have exposure to him, I think if I have Justin Jefferson on the board still, like I think I'd rather take Jefferson than Barkley in that situation.
Yeah, in this season, because this is the big board draft, and with all these late round running backs, you don't want to be left out on the cold on wide receiver. If we get to round 7 and we need running backs, we're not going to feel too bad. If we get to round 7 and we're needing wide receivers, we're going to be really, throwing some darts out there. So
yeah,
I like going Jefferson there a lot, and I'll be interested to see if the ADPs change. I think it's hard to not go for Barkley after seeing what he did last year, right? So I'm not surprised that I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't fall. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I agree. And the the touches that Barkley had last year, he had 345 rush attempts on top of 33 receptions. So that gives you an idea of how much usage he got last year. It's coming up on us again in the second.
Yeah, bring him back. Let me see who's on the board for us.
Yeah, let me get back to that. See, I prefer Bucky Irving, I think, is my favorite running back. Like,
really, I like Josh Jacobs the most right now. Why do you like Irving more?
Just because, like with Irving, he came in mid-season as the starting to get work more towards the middle of the season, and then he ended up being one of the top running backs towards the end of the season. I think it's still going to be an explosive offense, and Bucky Irving is a guy I think who has like top 5 potential upside. But do you want Higgins?
Go for Bucky quick. We're about to lose time.
Let's go with Irving. Fuck it.
Did we get him?
Yeah. I had him queued up.
All right, let's decide real quick on our next one.
Okay.
To me, because we went Irving there, it's quarterback or receiver. We definitely don't need a second running back right now.
No.
We've already discussed why. Who do we like here? Do you want to go with one of the MVP candidates, which I would not argue with, or are you considering one of these receivers that was going, well, 2 of them were going in the first round last year?
I think I'd rather go with the receiver. I like T. Higgins, but like he obviously he just went off the board. Garrett Wilson, I don't mind, but we don't know what his quarterback situation. Smith and Jigba might be the best guy to draft if we're going with a receiver. Otherwise, Josh Allen. But which one of those guys do you prefer?
I mean, let's go JSN here. Yeah, I've been drafting a lot of Josh Allen here at this 3rd round.
Cool.
And so I'd like to make this team different. I mean, this will be fun because I usually don't take Irving there. Yeah. I have in my personal rankings, I have Jacobs and Hall ahead of him.
Yeah. I don't hate having those guys ahead of him either. I just think with what we saw out of Irving, he basically played, like maybe half a season as the as what you could call the starter. Mm-hmm. And he had over 1,100 yards. You know what I mean? Like,
so now's the good time. This is a perfect segue. Mm-hmm. Liam Cohen is gone. Mm-hmm. How much do you think that affects Irving, and how do you think he'll do with Jacksonville? And I'll just give you my quick one. Mm-hmm. I'm not as impressed with him as everybody else is.
No.
I'll be really surprised if he's a boost for Jacksonville and if he is, if the Buccaneers miss him that much. I think the Buccaneers are going to be able to move in without a step, right? Because everyone, this is like the fourth guy. Look what he did with Baker. Well, what point did we just say, hey, Baker's pretty good?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, we don't say, oh, look what he did with Josh Allen, right? Look what he did with Lamar Jackson, right? We give the players the credit, right? I mean, obviously Monken's done a good job in Baltimore. Right? Let's give him some credit. But the idea that he can go down, Todd Monken can go down to New Orleans and turn Derek Carr into that, to me is a little far-fetched. So
yeah,
I'm not buying this dip in the Buccaneers offense because of losing their offensive coordinator.
Now, I think if anyone, the previous offensive coordinator had the biggest impact. We've seen what he's done with helping Geno find his way, and then he's even helped Bryce Young become a little bit better last year. Like I think that had more of a lasting impact than Cohen had on Baker, and I think that Baker's going to do fine. He's going to do fine this year, and I think that offense is still going to be pretty good. And I wouldn't write off any of the Bucs just because of losing their offensive coordinator. I think that dude saw his opportunity to take the money and run. He used it as leverage over the Jaguars. He was able to get rid of the general manager and have like more influence over that team. He took the money and ran with it. And I don't blame him at all for doing that. But I think I'm with you in thinking he's probably a little bit overrated.
All right, let's go back to the main board. Let's plot our next two picks, and then I have some more coaching questions for you.
Okay.
Okay, so we got your guy Devontae Smith out there in Philadelphia. Excellent opportunity at this point, right? We talk about players getting older, and AJ Brown, right, is right around that. I still think he's gonna be good. I'm not taking AJ Brown off my board, but I'm just saying it's not that far fetched that he misses some games.
Yeah, he seemed like he was slowing down towards the end of the season last year for sure.
Yeah, so I don't mind Smith at all. Hurts is obviously a great option. We don't have a quarterback yet. We talked about Omarion Hampton earlier. I wouldn't mind him at all, but it's almost like the real draft. We got plenty of good options of rookie running backs if we don't take Hampton. Yeah. I love McMillan. Rice, I'm a little scared of because he's got that looming suspension that we were worried about when we were drafting last time this year, right? Yep. And they said they're going to do it this year. So that's obviously a concern. Who are you? And I didn't even mention Devontae Adams. Who are you looking at this spot? Where do you think we should go?
Well, Rice is also coming off of the ACL tear on top of it. So that's two strikes against him for me. Like in this spot, I'm mainly looking at Zay Flowers or Devontae Adams, I think. Okay,
I'd like McMillan if you want to go that way.
Let's go McMillan then, yeah.
I think he's got a chance to really come in and have a Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas type season.
Cool. Yeah.
And where we draft Neighbors at last year, 27.
Yeah, second round.
Down to 21 towards the end.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're getting the same upside at pick 46. All right, but we don't have time. We got to stay on this clock. We're 0-1-3-0. Who are we looking at here? Do we continue to load up on wide receiver? Do we pull the trigger on Hurts and get probably the last elite fantasy quarterback here? I'm not high on Hubbard, and we've kind of said it. I think we go Hurts or a receiver. I'm fine passing on Kittle as well, even though this Debo should move him up the board. But I'd like to go either Hurts or a wide receiver here. What are you thinking?
Well, some guy just grabbed his second quarterback.
Weird, but that's fine for us.
Yeah, and then somebody took Hurts because of that. Or not because of that, but partly.
Last pretty much elite fantasy quarterback off the board.
Yeah, basically.
We had 10 seconds left. If it's me, I'm taking Olave, but pick whoever you want.
I'm with
Olave,
you. Yeah. Yep. I think his
he's another one going 15 last year, and we're getting him at what, 51 because of injury?
Yeah, exactly.
Not to mention the division sucks.
Yep. Division sucks, and then on top of that, new coaching. yeah, and he's got like a pretty decent coach because yeah, he just had a great season with the Eagles as offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, and now he is the head coach of head coach of the Saints. I've always liked him. I've always liked him as an offensive minded coach, and like now he gets a couple weapons in Olave and what's the other receiver there?
Shaheed.
Yeah, Shaheed. So I think he's got some weapons to work with. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Kamara and the running back situation. But I do think that the offense does have some upside there with that new head coach.
All right, Simon, I'm going to be right back. Talk to me about what you're seeing on the board though, real quick, and I can hear. I'll be right back.
Yeah, so we're looking at potentially going with a tight end, but like as Spread said, like I'm kind of gonna stick with Spread on his thoughts on the rookie tight end potential, and maybe go with that top rookie if he's still on the board. Tyler Warren is there. He's at an ADP of about 100, so he's still in play. I'd like to get a quarterback potentially in this next round. I'm looking at Baker Mayfield to kind of go with Bucky Irving. If I'm gonna draft, I might actually go with if Godwin lasts to me, which I don't think he will. I'm 8 picks away, and Godwin is ADP of 64. We're on pick number 62 right now, so Godwin probably won't last to me. But ideally, I'd be able to pick Godwin here and then pick Baker and have a nice Tampa Bay stack going there. Otherwise, I think I want to shift my focus to like thinking of a stack here of either like maybe Chicago with Chicago's improvements on the coaching staff, or San Francisco and take a gamble on San Francisco having their wide receivers so cheap right now. Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall are still on the board, which is interesting because we can still get Brock Purdy a little bit later, and then Brock Purdy likely to have an upswing in this next season. Hopefully, Christian McCaffrey is over his injury. That's what we've been hearing from the beat reports, and Christian McCaffrey back in that offense improves their upside pretty significantly.
So you think Godwin's going to return to Tampa?
I think so. Yeah. I don't see. I actually, you know what? McMillan, is he still around? Is McMillan still on the board?
Jalen McMillan for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So McMillan is a guy that I'm interested in. Then maybe I'll draft. I want Baker and McMillan. If I'm going to draft both those guys, and I don't mind drafting McMillan if we think that Godwin has the potential to slow down or be on a different team. McMillan's a guy that really stepped it up towards the end of the season. If we're going to go with that stack, we're going to have to draft McMillan or Baker right here, because one of those guys will not be around the next time we got to pick.
All right. I'm fine with that. If it were on me, I would like either Caleb Johnson, Luther Burden, or Juwan Jennings right here.
Gotcha. I'll go with Baker right now.
Okay.
I know it's way early on him, but I've been running into situations with these big board drafts where the guys that I'm wanting for quarterback have not been falling to me. So I'm probably being a little bit like over conservative there.
Oh, are we going with McMillan right now? Where is he on the list? Got to just wide receivers.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go with McMillan, just to get that stack. So now I got a little bit of a Tampa Bay stack here.
Okay, it's a for sure Tampa Bay stack. If we went Godwin, there's still the chance.
Yeah, Godwin was already.
I mean,
he was already off the board, so I went with.
I'm just saying. I mean, this is the for sure stack. So okay, great. And I think that K. Dot will be one of our later round targets now too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. So let's throw the big board up. We got a little while. Let me ask you about, of course, probably the most high profile, at least for fantasy managers, coaching changes. Ben Johnson to Chicago. How much do you upgrade them? and how much do you downgrade the Detroit offense for losing him?
I think it's a massive upgrade for Chicago. As far as Detroit, though, I think they've done a pretty good job with, just in general. Like I think their success is more with the, like the theme of the team as opposed to maybe the coordinators. I think like having Dan Campbell still in there as the head coach, I think they can get another offensive coordinator on that team and have similar success. I think they adapt, pretty well. The losing the defensive coordinator and the offensive coordinator is not going to have as big an impact as it did, let's say, on the Eagles a couple years ago, because I think that Detroit. Like, do we know who they promoted or hired as an offensive coordinator right now?
It's a promotion, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but
Okay.
it was a guy that was already on the team. So he's coming up, and he's running the same system. I was hoping we could get some Stephen A. Smith first take action here, Simon, but I agree with you. And to be fair, I don't even know if I'm that high on Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
But I think it's just pretty safe to say that anything would have been an upgrade there.
Yes.
In Chicago, I do think that Eberflus was a good defensive coordinator, but we're talking about fantasy football, and we're talking about, points scored. It's got to be a huge upgrade. I mean, Shane Waldron, come on. I can't. We talked about it last year. Remember why one of the reasons I was drafting JSN, and he said, and I ended up being wrong because Ryan Grubb got fired already, right? And I thought that Ryan Grubb was going to be this huge upgrade. Yeah. But the way that they talked about Waldron after he left, JSN was almost, celebrating almost, right? Like, it was divorce parties you see. Like, I remember I used to work at a bar, right? Guys having divorce parties, right? Felt like that. And so I do think it's going to be an upgrade there in Chicago, but I don't know if Detroit's going to miss that much of a beat. And that's why I say, I don't know if I'm in on Ben Johnson yet, being this Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, right, type of guy. Could he be Mike McDaniels down in Miami? Maybe.
Yeah.
Right. Could he be Adam Gase? I had the best personnel. So, okay, cool. So it sounds like we're on the same spot there. What are we targeting now? Of course, second quarterback is also always an option because it's not like we got a Josh Allen or Lamar every week. My guy Tyler Warren's there. I definitely want to target him. The question is, do we grab him? I would be fine grabbing him now.
Yeah.
Personally. I'd really like some Tyler Warren. And then maybe another quarterback, or we start making a run on some of these rookie running backs is where I'm looking. 5 wide receivers were looking pretty good. So I have no interest with the way our team is built. Mm-hmm. I have no interest in Michael Pittman. I don't care about Darnell Mooney. Stephon Diggs would be fine. I'm not against him. I think he could have potential. If anyone on the board, I'd rather have Diggs just off the potential. But I'd like to get some Tyler Warren here and then get a running back or the second quarterback.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on Tyler Warren. Let's grab him now before we push it too close, and then maybe we go for a running back after that.
Let's go to let's hope that he's still here. All right, he's still there. Lucky us. Now let's just go to just straight the running back feed.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking I'm going to want a rookie over any of these guys here, although there's not a lot of rookies in the value range here. Scadaboo's going at 117, and we're going to be picking at what? 199?
Yeah. Let's see.
Your choice. We can wait too and just grab.
You want to grab Kyler Murray? Like, do we still think Kyler Murray?
I don't mind Kyler, or I think Jordan Love's one of the most mispriced players. To me, the two biggest values of quarterback on this big board are Love and CJ. They're way too low.
Yeah, let's go with Love. Then.
Way too low.
Okay.
I don't understand how. Why would we not think that Jordan Love's going to continue to improve?
Yeah,
they're going to address the wide receiver situation, so he's not going to be thrown to. If it was Madden, 4 guys that are 76s, they're going to get a real number 1 in there, whether it's through the draft or free agency. And he's got a great coach. and he's got talent's never been an issue with this kid. It's interceptions. The interceptions might hurt me if I'm betting on Jordan Love to cover the spread. But in this game, I lose 2 points. It's fine. If I'm still getting 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, I like Love a lot there.
So with Love, we're looking at, we still got Romeo Dubs on the board. He's going at 140. Dontavian Wicks is going at 162.
I'm out on him. I saw enough of him last year.
We could go with a second tight end too, and Tucker Kraft at 119.
Yeah, of all the people I like correlating him with, I like Kraft the best.
Okay. And I don't mind taking another tight end this soon, and just shoring up that position overall. I think we got two solid tight ends at that point.
Right.
So Kraft's ADP right now is 119, and our next pick is going to be right around there at 118. So hopefully he'll still be on the board for us.
We'll grab some Kraft, and then let's try and grab some more running backs.
Yeah. So Kraft, and then we start looking at these rookie running backs. We're in a pretty good spot with our wide receiver situation right now. We got Jefferson, Smith and Jigba, McMillan, Olave, and Jalen McMillan.
Yeah. Just looking at that big board, I think Etienne's going too low.
Yeah.
If you saw what Cohen did with Irving,
mm-hmm.
I don't understand why you wouldn't expect that same thing.
Right. Knowing how he likes to use those running backs.
That to me was the steal of that round. Obviously, I like our Pittman pick, but I'd much rather have Etienne over Jones or Harris.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're taking Harris, you're just hoping he ends up like in Dallas or somewhere, right, where it's a better situation.
Right.
If you're taking Harris, the last thing you want to do is see him resign with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and Etienne, what was he, like a second round pick, like when he got drafted, or first round?
Oh, in the real NFL draft, first round. He got picked at 27 or it's pretty late.
Yeah,
in the draft, and then last year he was going in the second or third rounds of the best ball drafts.
Yeah, and I think he was dealing with an injury for part of last season too, which played a role in like why he sucked last year, but also I think just in general that team was on such a decline. They ended up losing their head coach and Peterson.
Let's check the board real quick and figure. Oh, is Kraft still on the board? Because we already know where we're going there.
Yeah, Kraft is still on the board.
Okay, so hopefully he doesn't get taken there. All right, so wait, he didn't take it yet.
Yeah, I got him queued up for whatever.
What do you think, Kincaid here? I think he's a great value at 126.
Kincaid.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you want to?
We want to take Kraft in this particular draft. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Okay.
That was one of the things that really stood out to me this year. All right, so now let's go back to our running back list and plan our next pick.
All right, now
Scatterbu's still there. I have no problem with Scatterbu. I think he's going to be great.
All right, let's go with him.
Okay, and let's see if he's still on the board. If not,
looks like he is still there. So let's grab him.
Yeah, and some fantasy places have Neal ranked ahead of him, just to give people a heads up there. Dylan Sampson's projected around that same age or same range.
All right, so we're looking at, we got two running backs right now. You like Sampson? You said
spread? I don't think he's going to be there when we get back, but yeah, I think he's a pretty good idea here.
So let's put him in there. What do you think of Dowdle? Like, why is everybody so down on Dowdle after he was coming alive last year?
Because most people think that Dallas is going to bring in a running back and that he's going to be a backup.
Gotcha. Blake Corum, do we think that, like last year, everybody was afraid that Kyron Williams was going to have a down year because of Blake Corum, but now it's like the opposite. Like, so now do we take that opposite stance? Last year, I projected Blake Corum to have a bigger year than Brooks, and Corum ended up having like 5 fantasy points and Brooks had none. So I ended up getting that right, even though it was like, meaningless. But Corum is another guy. He could have like a significant role this season. And Devin Neal, we're looking at as a rookie.
I
Oh, you
like
know what?
210 a lot. I like
Yeah,
Ollie
Tootin.
Gordon a lot.
Okay.
That's why I'm looking here on these ones.
Okay. Now, Tootin is an ADP. I'm surprised because I've heard some buzz on him. He's an ADP of 181. That's kind of surprising to me. But like he's a guy that we can draft a little bit later on, not necessarily needing to draft him right now. Any other of these rookie running backs you think like? Did you like Devin Neal spread?
Yeah, I think he's. I mean, all these ones. I mean, you're just throwing darts, but I think the idea is if you build the way that we did,
yeah,
you want to have as many shots at just one of these guys landing in the key situation, right? Landing in Dallas.
What do you think of Jalen Wright as a sec? I know he's a second-year player, but like Jalen Wright seems like
I think he's got a great opportunity to have. It's funny. I think his comp is right above him. Tyler Algier.
Yeah,
I think that he's going to get work, but I don't see him spiking in your lineup more than 2 or 3 times in the year. Gotcha. That's why I'd rather take a shot at someone like Ollie Gordon and hope he gets drafted by the Cowboys or potentially like the Browns or I'm trying to think of another team, the Broncos, the Chargers. Right? There's so many spots where these guys land and they're behind good offensive lines and they're already set to be number one. Right? I mean, like Chargers, even if J.K. Dobbins is better, your guy's probably going to be in there by week 3, week 4, So that's why I'm going there rather than someone like Jalen Wright where, I mean, he could be good, but you're really, I'm going to say hoping, but I think you really need an A-chain injury there. I think someone we should consider here is Dubes.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
What do you think of Hollywood Brown?
Every time I draft that guy, he ends up like doing nothing. So I'm kind of like over it.
I'm completely out on him. Let him keep dropping. I think the rest of look how it is. He's ranked at 119, ADP is 138.
Yeah.
That means and that's the only thing that I don't like about this big board contest. Where's the dead money? Right? Everyone on here is pretty serious about what they do. That's one of the reasons why it is a little tougher, but I'm out on Hollywood. I saw Christian Kirk just go off the board right before Dubes.
Yeah.
What do you think of him? I was so high on him last year and he did absolutely nothing for me.
Same. Yeah. I mean, I think like I don't even think the coaching is an upgrade. I think that he's coming off an injury and Trevor Lawrence looked terrible for a lot of last year. Mm-hmm. But he was also hurt. So I'm going to give Trevor Lawrence the benefit of the doubt. But, I would take Dubs over.
I'd like Devin Neal here, but whatever you want to do. That's who I would choose. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So, I think that, I just like the upside of Dubs. And then on top of that, we got him with Jordan
Love, which is why. That's why I went. If we didn't have Love, I was fine passing on Dubs though.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and that's the thing with him. Like when you get into those situations where you don't really have a lean on the guy, but you have the quarterback and you want to shore up your stacks. I mean, that's where it makes a lot more sense to go with a guy like Dubs. Like, and then just hope that he has, one of those great seasons. We saw some upside with him last year. Like especially with Christian Watson. Keep in mind, Christian Watson tore his ACL pretty much at the end of the season. It was like right before.
He went back to like week 12. So
yeah, so you think
no competition from Watson there? That's why I think they're almost for sure going to bring someone in.
Yeah,
I mean Dubs has attitude issues, and other than Jaden Reed, like Wicks isn't very good,
right?
So Jaden Reed.
So now one thing with the Packers is they all those years with Rodgers, they refused to draft like high with a wide receiver. Do you think this year they might take a wide receiver in the first round, or what do you think their spread?
Trying to guess the Packers draft picks. I don't know. I mean, traditionally they've been not very aggressive in free agency, but I think right now where they're at, they have to because they're close, right? I understand, like, you don't turn a team around with free agency, right? If you're the Raiders, you're the Saints, you're the Jaguars, your solutions aren't in free agency. When you're fighting with the Vikings and the Bears, right, and you're almost at the top, that's where, you might overpay a guy like Chris Godwin, right? Maybe potentially goes Green Bay, right? But where you're at, it's worth it to take advantage of this window.
Yeah. That would be very interesting to see Godwin go to Green Bay, especially with Jaden Reed playing as well as he does in the slot. Or at least, like he was playing pretty well in the slot. Last year, it seems like he took a step back from his rookie season. What are your thoughts there on Jaden Reed?
I think he's the fine pick. I think he's appropriately priced here. So if he drops, I'll jump in on him, but I'm not necessarily targeting him.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we're up in, we still got a little while. Like, who are you thinking for our next pick? You want me to go back to the?
Yeah, go back to the other board and let's look. So most of the rookie running backs we talked about are gone. Do we want Kid on for correlation, or is that too many tight ends? I wouldn't mind because obviously Tyler Warren's it's a home run swing, right? I mean, what if he gets drafted to like Chicago or somewhere where they already have an established tight end, right?
I think somebody might have taken Naughton.
He was on there. Oh, he just got taken. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
We don't need a tight end then. I was only gonna say Ott because he correlates.
Gotcha. I do like taking a third quarterback in these.
Okay, who do we got on the board? I definitely like it because it's like DraftKings.
So we got Geno.
If Geno's head and shoulders above any other option, if he's still there, in my mind.
Yeah, I don't really. Who's the Minnesota?
JJ McCarthy. I think he's already gone.
Yeah, he's gone already. So yeah, let's put Geno in the queue. We don't necessarily like. Is he guaranteed? Like, or not guaranteed? Is he definitely going to be the starter? Do we think, or is he
get traded?
Let's see. Okay,
he wants more money, and they haven't given it to him yet. But regardless of where he goes, I think he'll put up numbers.
So who do you like? Who do you like here? You want to go with Geno?
Geno, yeah. Because I think there's a huge drop off after that. So go back to the quarterback, and I'll explain. Darnold, we don't even know where he's going. God forbid he goes back to Minnesota. He could be out by week 6.
Right.
Carr is Carr, but I think Geno will be better. Jackson Dart, I don't think will start his first year. I do like Sanders, but the idea is he's probably going to a Giants or a Raiders or someone who's not very good.
Right.
I don't like Rodgers or Wilson, especially not for fantasy. I don't know. Cousins can end up in New York and be okay there. I don't think Jalen Milroe will start. Jameis is okay, but we don't even know what you're getting. Who knows where Daniel Jones ends up?
All right, so we're up now. Do you want to go Ollie Gordon here? All right, let's go with Ollie
We're way behind on running back.
Yeah, that gives us our 4th.
We got to really focus on running backs because we might even want to take a veteran here on the next round.
Let's see. We got Allen, who's interested. Chubb is looking to get on a different team. Roshan Johnson, I think, is going to have a bigger role. He might even be in a situation where he could be like a Gibbs to, like whoever Montgomery ends up being. Like, what do you think of Roshan Johnson?
He's another one, right? Where we just keep waiting for him to do something and he doesn't.
Right. Then we got like these rookies and Trevor Etienne.
I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Estime too.
Estime. You think Estime?
The idea there is the Broncos are definitely drafting a back, but let's just say he's not that good right off the bat. Estimate takes the majority of the carries.
Let's see. So I got Trevor Etienne, Estime. Did you have any thoughts on Nick Chubb? Do you think I think he could
I'm
end
not
up
against him, but I don't know.
right.
I don't love him. Tyler really likes him.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's just over for him.
One thing that I think with Chubb and where I would bet like that it wouldn't be, he seems like a Frank Gore, Adrian Peterson type, like one of those guys that is super into, his conditioning and like workouts and stuff.
Yeah.
Where you could put Nick Chubb, really, he wasn't slowing down before he got hurt. And I think that, he's a guy that could overcome an injury like that and kind of come out of nowhere and have like a well outperform where he's
his
drafted.
upside is higher than every other one of those guys on the board combined, so I understand that.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, and wherever he ends up, he's likely to be the starter. So it's going to be like a RB hungry team, like that's picking him up. And giving him a significant role right off the bat. Like he's going to be like one of those veterans, maybe there's a rookie on the team. They put Chubb in there like to start the season off as the starter, thinking that the rookie is eventually going to win over that position, but then Chubb outperforms and he ends up holding on to that role for the season. I can see that outcome for him. Wide receiver wise, I don't think we don't really need a receiver, right?
We don't need one.
Not at this point.
We need more running backs. Everything else we're set.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm leaning Chubb here. That's and fine. Then maybe we get a rookie at the end or something.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. What do you think of Javonte Williams? You think he
would be second on my list right now.
Okay.
If Chubb's not there, I say we take Javonte.
Cool. Then what do you think of Jack Beck? I don't know anything about that dude.
I don't know a lot about him.
Okay. Savion Williams, anything on him?
No, not a lot of good insight from me on Williams.
Gotcha. Yeah, other than that, I don't like the Patriots with that freaking coach. They're just going to be like a boring team, I feel like. What are your thoughts on the Patriots?
I'm wondering if that quarterback's so good he's going to be able to transcend the bad roster, and I don't want to say bad coaching, but from a fantasy perspective, I think that it's not good.
Right. All right, so we're coming up again here. Now we've got 6 wide receivers, 5 running backs, 2 tight ends, and 3 quarterbacks. Do you think we go with like a Trevor Etienne, or do you think we take a shot on one of these wide receivers?
I would rather go with a running back because I don't feel like I think the chances of the running back we draft going into the lineup more weeks than not is way higher than any wide receiver we could possibly get. So
cool. Let's go with Etienne then. Is he the brother of?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got 6 running backs now. I think Etienne, he's been getting like some sort of buzz too. What do you know about him? Spread.
Who?
Trevor Etienne.
He's a good player, comp like his brother, right? It's almost like grabbing James Cook.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. We know the genetics are there.
Right. Right.
Maybe it won't be the first year though, just like Cook. But when you're drafting it, what are we now? 195. I mean, everything's going to kind of be a dart, right? A lot of these, we like to really focus in on this part of the draft and how many times does it not matter, and you just got to nail your first 7 picks.
Okay, so guys that I'm seeing that I like, if we're shifting our focus to wide receivers right now, I like Michael Wilson as a potential guy. I think that we've seen basically, like what his upside is. He's had 2 disappointing seasons. It looked like he was getting more work towards the end of last season, but like he's one of those guys that never breaks out. Diami Brown obviously had that massive upgrade at quarterback, and he showed a little bit of upside. We have DeMarcus Robinson in like the Los Angeles with no Cooper Kupp. We have Troy Franklin, who showed a little bit of upside in some games, coming into his second year with Bo Nix. Those guys played in college together. We got Westbrook Akine, who showed some upside. He had a couple monster games last year. Calvin Austin, I think, has some upside here.
But I like Wilson more than Austin if we're going a pit reclamation project.
Okay, let's go with Wilson.
He was right below it if you were where you were.
Let's see, Roman Wilson. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's another guy. Now Wilson was projected to have a decent season last year, and then he just he didn't come out of the gates. I think he got hurt in the preseason, so he never came out of the gates. And Pittsburgh's a type of team that likes to give a couple years to their players before they start to break out. We saw that with Calvin Austin in his second year last year, where he was starting to get opportunity. But if a similar situation happens with Roman Wilson, and he ends up being as advertised, then he could have a breakout season. We're dependent on a quarterback there too, like because Pittsburgh. I don't know if Fields or Wilson is going to be back. Do you have any thoughts on that spread?
One of them's coming back. I don't know who.
I know Las Vegas was looking at both those guys. Do you think that they go with Fields? Potentially?
I don't think there's any way that Russell Wilson ends up in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I was shocked. I didn't buy that for a second either. With
I think they get along. I just I don't think they dislike each other. I don't think they want to work together.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's a reason why like they were butting heads or Russell Wilson ended up getting traded to the Broncos. I mean, they just couldn't coexist. Noah Brown, I don't mind Noah Brown on Washington. We saw some massive upside with him, but problem is he always gets hurt. I'm trying to see if there's any like hidden gems down here. Burton, like he was a disaster. Let's go with Roman Wilson.
Okay.
And we got like 17 seconds on that one. Scrolling down a little bit more, just trying to find, potential value. Javon Baker is a guy that I think has upside, despite being on.
Do you? I was high on him last year. I don't think he was very good.
You don't? Do you not like him?
No, I think we should go back to the running backs and see what we can do there.
Okay.
I don't think any of those guys. I think if one of those guys ends up in our lineup, we are in trouble.
All right, so we're back with Estime or Roshan. I think are the two top options there. What do you think of Kendre Miller? Do you think that this is fresh?
Could be his time. Obviously, he had issues with the previous coaching staff. So
yeah. You want to try Kendre Miller?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't hate Mason either.
Mason's not bad. I just think that McCaffrey.
Do you think he's going to be good? I'm wondering if this is just it for him.
I think he is. Like I think that. Let's see. Let's go with Miller. I think he's going to be serviceable enough to keep like that maybe that running back room is all going to be just like a situation to avoid type of situation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got one pick left. We got Estime, Diami.
So for the very last pick, I'll entertain Javon Baker there.
Okay.
Also maybe a third tight end.
Okay. Yeah, I like the third tight end idea actually. Theo Johnson didn't look too bad. Like Taysom Hill likely to get traded, you think, or
I have no idea.
Released?
I mean, the Saints is a whole new deal, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
But like with Kellen Moore, like Kellen Moore might like having that little that weapon in Taysom Hill. Theo Johnson, he wasn't too bad last year when he had his opportunities. I felt like he was coming alive towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Oh, Theo Johnson?
I like him way more than Sanat.
All right, let's put Theo Johnson.
I think Sanat is in trouble. I mean, not in trouble, right? But it's like Ertz is already there. I think the two big losers in that trade from a fantasy perspective are Sanat and Ertz, because I think that's where Debo eats up. The dump offs, the middle of the field.
Yep.
The yards after catch potential type of routes. So I'm out on Sanat at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing too much else as far as value in the tight end situation. Oh, did we already grab? Did we end up grabbing Theo? No, we got Kendre Miller. Theo. Okay, so someone else grabbed Theo Johnson. Juwan Johnson or Taysom Hill would basically be the guys, unless you like Mason Taylor. You got any thoughts on Mason Taylor, the rookie? Was that one of the guys you mentioned? I can't remember.
No, I don't know a lot about him.
Cool. Let's leave him off then.
We did a tight end now. I think you go top on the board. You go to Juwan or Taysom.
Gotcha. Okay. I would take it. I would take a risk on Taysom. I think
so too. Way more upside at this point.
Yeah, and it's the 20th pick, so we're not really worried about him. Like, and that situation too. I mean, there's nothing but upside with him. If he ends up, having a similar role to what he's had these past few years, I mean, we know that the players love Taysom Hill. The fan base loves him, and the new coach coming in there. I don't think that, if he has a weapon that's versatile like that, I don't think he's just going to go away from it,
I agree there.
All right, so Taysom Hill coming up. Give us our third tight end option. And then we'll go ahead and review the team. All right, so got him. All right, so spread we're looking at for our quarterbacks. We got Baker Mayfield, Jordan Love, Geno Smith. We got our quarterbacks covered. Like now with Big Board, you get 20 picks as opposed to 18. So you want to make sure that you're drafting. Probably make sure that you're drafting 3 of each of the single positions, because if you get 2 players on the same bye week, then you're going to be screwed for that week. And
the other thing I would say is 3 on quarterback is mandatory. I think if you go high on tight end, like let's say you had Trey McBride, Tyler Warren, I think you can get away with 2 there.
Yeah.
But I would go 3 quarterbacks almost always.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you don't want to take a risk of taking a goose egg at quarterback. Running backs, we got Bucky Irving, Cam Scatterbo. We use that strategy that Spread talked about with drafting a lot of these rookie running backs. So we got 3 in a row with Devin Neal and Ollie Gordon as well. And then we got Trevor Etienne on top of it. We got Nick Chubb in case he gets traded to a good situation. We got Kendre Miller in hopes that like a new coaching staff there. Not going to have the same taint that he had with that previous coaching staff where the coach just hated him. He put him on IR out of spite. So, hopefully this is a better situation for him. He showed some upside, obviously in his draft position, but also, in some of his performance on the field. For the wide receivers, we got Justin Jefferson, we got Jackson Smith and Jigba. We got Ted McMillan. We got Chris Olave. We got Jalen McMillan. We got Romeo Doubs, and we got Roman Wilson. So we got our Tampa Bay stack with McMillan, Bucky Irving, and Baker Mayfield. I think there's a lot of upside there with Tampa Bay, just based on how they were performing, how they were clicking towards the end of the season. And like Spread said, I don't think it has anything to do with the offensive coordinator getting traded. I think it's more, Baker just, he figured it out to an extent. And I think that, his performance was more based on his ability than this past offensive coordinator. But I do think that what's the name of the previous offensive coordinator, Spread?
Who, Liam Cohen?
No, before Liam Cohen, the
Dave
one who's
Canales?
coaching.
Dave
Who's that?
Canales? Dave Canales?
Yeah, Canales, I think, had the like the touch, but he has to touch with these quarterbacks. He's able to help them figure things out. But I don't think that, they need him to stick around for them to continue to be good. So tight ends, we're looking at Tyler Warren, Tucker Kraft, and Taysom Hill. We got that rookie in Tyler Warren. Spread thinks there's a lot of upside there. Spread was high on Brock Bowers last year as well. So similar strategy as last year in grabbing that rookie quarterback, rookie tight end, and then just grabbing a couple veterans to go along with him. But Spread, what's your overall thoughts on the team, and any closing thoughts that you might have on?
Hey, make sure you mark this that I drafted this with you, because I think we got a great team here. There, for the strategy we outlined before we entered the draft, I feel we executed it to a T.
Yeah.
This was exactly, what I envisioned when we talked about hero running back, right? Load it up. All we need is one of those running backs to break through, and we're set. Solid at quarterback, right? Guys that have done it before, and they could be jumping in and out of our lineup, going into that. If we were in the playoffs, we have 3 guys that could potentially be in our lineup that week, right? We're not just, I hope Josh Allen goes off, right? And then, we got my favorite player, right? We got this year's Brock Bowers. So I'm excited about the way our team turned out. I feel like we set a strategy and we executed it really well.
Yeah, I think so too. Don't sleep on Bucky Irving this year. I think Bucky Irving's got some upside. Like I said, total yards, he had, 365 receiving yards on top of 1,100 rushing yards. And this is a guy that came in, midway through the season, where he started taking a bigger role on the team. Prior to that, he was being used relatively sparingly, but he took a bigger role on towards that middle of the season, right around the time where Godwin and Evans both went out. That's when they started using multiple tight end sets, and then they let Bucky Irving break out a little bit. So don't sleep on Bucky Irving this year. I think he's a good value. Other than that, it seems like there's a lot of decent value with running backs. So you don't need to jump on them, like right away. I think I liked the way that we skipped on Saquon Barkley and went with Justin Jefferson in that first round. I think macro, going to need a few more drafts before start coming up with more of a macro thinking on this. But Spread, do you have any macro thoughts before we duck out?
I think you got everything I got here. We went through a lot of it. We kind of went through my ideal draft strategy. Of course, if you're going volume, you're not going to want to do this every single time. But if you're like me and you got a lot of stuff going on and you're not doing, you're not even getting close to max enter, I think we went with the most optimal strategy here today.
Awesome. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to hit that like button. Get me to 30 likes. I'll start putting out those shorter videos. Also, subscribe to the channel. Looking for 1,700 subscribers. Make sure to sign up for an Underdog account using the promo code SEEK. They're going to give you a 50% deposit match up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So make sure to take advantage of that. And Spread, thanks for joining me. Where can they find you on Twitter?
At Spread Astaire.
At Spread Astaire, and check them out on Fanspeak as well, and wherever else. How many places are you doing content for now, Spread?
So right now, because of the move, I have not been doing the NBA rundown on Nuke the House. Once my Starlink arrives in the mail at the new home, I'll be back doing that. So I'm over at Nuke the House. I'm writing for Bookmakers Review and Odds Traders. So I have I'll have an NBA article up today with 2 of the picks that I made in the NBA.
Good stuff, man. And let me know how that Starlink goes, because I'm about done with AT&T. My connection's been really shitty, as some of my my audience can attest to recently. So thanks
Okay.
again.
Well, I'll say one thing. I just canceled my AT&T, and the process was 10 times easier than when I canceled Xfinity.
Nice. That's good to know, especially with the all the equipment that they gave. But Spread, thanks for joining, and I'll see you guys later on. We'll put out a show probably weekly on drafting these, and I'll see you guys on the next one.